This is better than good habits. You might wonder what would be better than good habits. A lot of people ask, what's the key to motivation? And this is no different than a young lady. Um, she was in school back in the 2000s, and she had this girl that it's not like the girl was a rival, but it's like this girl was annoyingly perfect. Have you ever seen someone like that? It was like this girl always got good grades, always was popular, always was well liked. She was always involved in everything. And so um, Stacy, we'll call this young lady who was looking at this other girl as being an example, she would not feel jealous, but just really wanted to know the secrets. Like, how can I be as efficient as this girl? She always gets her work done. She always shows up on time. She's always like focused and she's always doing something cool. She came up with the best ideas for the science projects. She's the head of the volleyball team. She makes up cheers for the cheerleading squad. She's won awards for her artwork. I mean, it's like, how are you just good at everything? And so finally, Stacy just pulled the girl aside and asked her and said, "Hey, you know, I'm living in your shadow here. Let me know, what is your secret? Like, how are you able to move through and just be this amazing, stellar student who's just thriving in every area?" And the high achieving girl just said to her, I don't do what I feel like doing. I do what I think is best. And then she just like walked away and just went and just did something amazing, like jumped up and did a volleyball spike or something like that. And Stacy was just like, what does that even mean? And so she had this in her head. I don't do what I feel like doing. I do what I think is best. And she's in bed just thinking about this. Like, I don't do what I feel like doing. Like, this girl seems like she's free. She seems like she does whatever she wants to do, but she's saying she doesn't do what she feels like doing. She does what she thinks is best. And then it dawned on Stacy. She remembered hearing something about the power of habits. And she was thinking, oh, so this girl has built good habits. And so instead of doing what she feels like doing, because feelings can sometimes get in the way, she lives according to habits. And so Stacy noticed the next morning when she woke up, she started to feel like she didn't want to go on a morning run, which would help her to be able to make her goals for the long distance team. And it was that moment where it snapped into place, and she remembered the example of this high achieving girl. And she's like, this is where the high achieving girl wouldn't do what she wants to do. She wouldn't do what she feels like doing. She would do what's best according to her habits. And so this Stacy went and to the library. She got books on habits. She started listening to tapes on habits. And that was a little bit before like the internet was as accessible with everything you needed on it. And so she was taking in everything she could about the power of habits, and she was learning, and it was getting exciting. She started a habit of getting up and running every morning. She started a habit of um, taking time every night to do her homework. So she was like doing better in school within a few weeks, and she was more in better shape. She started making a habit of eating right and packing her lunch, and this was saving her money. And it's like things were like really going better in her life. And she started to rise up in her cross country team to where she had an opportunity to be a captain. She's thinking, man, this is great because that one girl is the captain of the volleyball team. And the same day that she heard that she could be up to be the captain of her cross country team, she heard that the girl quit the volleyball team and opened up a tutoring program to help younger students to be able to get tutoring from upperclassmen. And so now she's leading a group of upperclassmen who are tutoring young students, who are tutoring middle school students. And by the way, this became so popular that this young lady ended up getting a scholarship because of her starting this program. And again, Stacy's like, I don't get it. Like, when I think I'm getting there, you're just like moved on to like the next bigger and better thing. Like I have the habits built, but that's not making me have the best science projects and the best art projects. Like you're just free flowing in this space of like creativity. I have to know what it is. So she decides to pull this girl aside again and say, look, and she says, look, I've built habits. I stopped doing what I felt like doing. I started doing what was good for me, and it's been great and my life has improved, but there's still something else because you're still moving forward and you're still achieving things that most of us aren't even thinking of achieving in high school. And I need that sauce. I need to know because these habits aren't making me achieve things that are beyond comprehension like what you're doing. And the girl just chuckled and she thanked her for the compliment. And the girl said this to her. She said, I don't live according to habits. She said, I live according to choice. And then she walked away. And Stacy was sitting there thinking, not again with the riddles. I don't know what this means. I don't live according to habits. I live according to choice. Her whole world is starting to crumble because she does live according to habits. And that's the only thing that's been helping her. And that's what she thought she was supposed to be doing. So she says, not this time. I am not going to spend nights in my bed trying to decipher this puzzle. And she grabs the girl again. She's like, listen, you have to explain this to me. I don't know what you mean. And the girl says, every morning when I get up, I make a deliberate, conscious decision as to what I want to do instead of just following what my feelings are or what the habits are. I'm actually analyzing, I'm thinking what would be best in order to achieve my goals. And I'm constantly formulating and evolving my goals. And at this point, Stacy really starts to get it. So what this girl really is doing is she's living consciously. And so that's what I want to teach to you guys, conscious mind living. It's superior to living according to habits. Now, living according to habits is not terrible. It's actually really, really good. Those people who you see when you go to the gym who look amazing, they live according to habits. They do not miss the gym. They do not skip leg day or arm day. They have a habit of getting up a certain time and drinking a certain protein shake and eating a certain way. And they follow that habit. And because it's worked for them, it keeps working for them. And that's why they look like that. Their habits get them results. However, have you ever been at the gym and seen some people and thought, gee, I don't want to judge, but I feel like you already won the game. I don't know why you're here still working this hard. You already look great. The reality is, while everyone has their own goals, and there's nothing wrong with continuing to work on your goals after you've been successful, many people will live according to habits and get stuck right there. That's why I want to give you something that's better. Habits are powerful, emotions are intense. But there's something better than both, which is conscious choice. Most people never stop to ask, what is actually best for me right now and in the long run? To pause and to be meditative allows you to live in the conscious mind. Living consciously allows us to access wisdom, not just following old habits or not just following momentary feelings. It's more powerful than motivation. A lot of people say, where do you find the motivation? How do I get the motivation? That thinking is, I want to feel like doing the right thing. So, how do I get the feeling? And that's what they think is the key. Motivation is about feeling the feelings and then doing it. People who are successful are not waiting for the feelings. They're not doing it because they're motivated. They do it because it's what's best for them. They do it because maybe they've built a habit, or they do it because it's going to fit according to their plan, their strategy. Over time, as they get going and they build this habit or they start moving toward this plan and this strategy, they do become motivated. But the motivation is actually a byproduct of motion. I'll give that to you again. The motivation is a byproduct of motion. You see, when you start moving forward, you build momentum, and the human runs on momentum. You start to feel like doing the things you're already doing, in other words. For instance, you ever eat really well, like a really clean meal that has all the proper whole ingredients that you really wanted to eat? And as you're eating this meal, you start thinking things like, I should eat like this all the time. Boy, I bet I could. And I'll buy the right groceries and you start feeling motivated. But why? Well, it's because you're already doing the thing. It's while you're doing the thing that you start to feel motivated to do the thing. So the secret to motivation is actual momentum. And so to build that momentum, you need something more powerful than motivation, more powerful than feelings to run on. And habit is a lot of times what people fall back on. But routines can sort of put you back into the passenger seat of your life because now you just are on autopilot moving forward like a robot responding to commands. And so you've programmed your mind. That's what a routine is, a habit. It's a program that you've written, and then you're following that habit. And that's beautiful. Routines and habits aren't bad. It's just that they're not everything. They're not the highest way. You're not going to get the most amazing science projects and art projects and the achievements and the awards and the accolades and come up with ideas like starting a tutoring program from habits. So your life is not controlled by just your programs or what happens to you. It's controlled by how you respond. Most people aren't responding, they're just reacting to either the program or the feeling. Most people are living on autopilot. They're reacting based on emotion or habit. Like maybe they have a good habit of brushing their teeth every morning, nothing wrong with that. But over time, they forget even why they're doing what they're doing. And the habit can actually lead to issues like if there's a spot in their mouth that they miss, then the dentist will see that there's this one spot and they'll be like, oh, you have a cavity here. And you'll be like, I brush my teeth every day. But because you do it unconsciously, you don't even notice that there's a way that you're doing it that's inefficient because you're not conscious and awake while you're doing it. So a lot of people don't stop and think. They just act or avoid acting because they're afraid. And then that's how we sabotage ourselves. When we live according to fear, it leads to self sabotage. In fact, all of your self sabotage comes down to acting according to your emotions. If you're looking for the key to stop self sabotaging, it all comes down to just following your feelings. You should have gone to that meeting, but you didn't want to because the feelings. You shouldn't have said that thing to that person, but you really wanted to because of the feelings. That's what self sabotage actually comes from. It's not because we are a bad person or have bad intentions. It's just we don't take the time to pause and think. When it comes to habits, again, they're not bad, but even they can work against you. Maybe you're in the habit of being nice. Ugh. Well, then that can cause you to be a people pleaser. And then you can be nice even to toxic people because that's your habit. See the problem there? Now, because you have the habit of trying to please everyone and try to keep everyone in your life and try to avoid abandonment, you're pleasing and keeping toxic people in your life. You're trying to keep toxic people from abandoning you. Wake up. That's not a habit that's going to serve you well. Without conscious reflection, the niceness that you're showing becomes self abandonment. And so instead, we want to access kindness, which comes from generosity. Generosity comes from abundance. Abundance is a mindset. And to be able to access higher mindsets like this, we have to get out of just habitual living. We need to be in conscious mind living, to pause and to think. So, how can you do it? Well, conscious living means to deliberate, to pause and think before you act. So, micro meditations throughout the middle of the day are going to be fantastic for you. It's the key, in fact. You want to be a meditative person. So, a lot of people say, like, oh, I don't really meditate a lot. In fact, most trauma survivors have this issue. They're not meditating. But then sometimes they think that meditation is all about taking like a half hour and then detaching from their physical body and going into a transcendental state or something that they saw on television. But that's not what meditation's about. Not for healing. No. Meditation, I want you to learn micro meditation, which is just to pause, breathe, blink, and ask yourself some questions, such as, what do I actually want here? What is actually important to me in this situation? What would serve me best? Not just in the next 5 minutes, but 5 years from now. What am I trying to accomplish? What is my goals, my legacy? How long did that take me? Just a minute. It doesn't take long to ask yourself questions like that. So when should you do it? All throughout your day. There are multiple opportunities to pause and to think. When you wake up in the morning, it's a great time to meditate. Go into a gratitude meditation. And then to sit down with a list and start formulating a list of things you want to do, that's a meditation. With your pen and paper, that's meditation. And then you make your list and then you take the time to prioritize on your list. What's most important to me to get done today? I'm only going to be able to get 3 big things done in a day. Now I'm setting a realistic expectation, right? And then I'm taking the time to make sure I analyze my list and I say, now, am I just reacting or am I also being proactive? Am I just reacting or am I also being proactive? In other words, does my list include legacy items, purpose driven, success driven items? You know what I mean by that? Like instead of just pick up the kids, get dog food, pay a bill, react to this, react to that, react to this. There should be things on your list that are legacy items. Like 5 years from now, I want to, in my obituary, I want to be remembered as stuff like that. So make sure you have things that are addressing your spirituality, addressing your long-term goals, moving towards a purpose, something that you want to accomplish in life. Those are your legacy items. Does that make sense? So make sure that's on your list too. Shouldn't just be reaction. You should be proactive. Say, you know what? I also want to work a little bit on that sculpture in the backyard. That's something that I leave behind. That's something that expresses my humanity and shows that I'm not just surviving, but I'm thriving. Later in the day, as we start to move forward, it's good to be conscious about what we're doing. Even when you're doing something as simple as brushing your teeth, asking yourself, why do I always brush my teeth with my right hand? I should learn with my left hand. Do that with caution, though. I've tried that. You can stab yourself in the gums, but it's actually really useful to learn to use your other hand. It's very useful because you never know what might happen to your good hand. So your other hand needs to be developed. It shouldn't just be like this gimp thing that you're carrying around with you if it is fully functional. Make use of that. You come up with things like this when you're consciously living. Ask yourself, why do I eat this for breakfast? And is this really best for me? A conscious mind decision could have you moving away from the sugary cereal and moving toward the whole grain oats or whatever it is that's going to be best for you, right? It's just taking that moment to pause before you make decisions. What time is it right now? Not just what time do I need to be there, what time would I need to leave in order to be there? That's a better question. And that comes from meditating instead of just, you ever do that to yourself? Where you say, oh, I got to be there at 8. I got to be there at 8. I got to be there at 8. Next thing you know, it's 7:50, 7:55. And the whole time you just kind of kept telling yourself, well, it's not 8 yet. And then you're like, what am I doing? I'm leaving 5, 6 minutes before I got to drive 20 minutes. I'm going to be late. But it's because I kept focusing on 8 o'clock instead of focusing on the time I need to leave. A moment of pausing and reflecting makes me more successful. Now I'm an on time person. Okay. If the thing is at 8 o'clock, then what time would I actually want to be walking in? Well, I have to go in and go up the elevator to get into the meeting room. So walking in those doors at 8 o'clock would not be a good look. Not to mention, there could be a variety of circumstances that could make me a minute or two late, right? So I don't want to be pulling in the parking lot at 8 o'clock, texting someone, I'm here, I'm just looking for parking. I don't want to do that. This is just conscious mind meditation. So as I think about it, I say, well, I guess the time that I would actually want to get there is 5 minutes before 8. That's plenty. Okay. And then how long does it actually take to drive there? Generally about 20 minutes. Oh, so I need to leave 25 minutes before 8. And now let me do the math. That would be, what is that, 7:35? Okay, good. Now I got something to focus on. I need to focus on 7:35, not 8 o'clock. And then I look at the clock and I realize I got to get going because I got to be out of here by 7:35. And all of a sudden, a little movement here gets me there on time. And I walk in smooth as butter. I'm already sitting right there at 7:59. People are walking into the meeting room. Over time, they go, "Man, you are so punctual. You just have it together." Meanwhile, you have ADHD. People don't know that. How are you able to be on time and punctual even though you have ADHD? Conscious mind living by pausing and thinking, making it a game, having strategy. Throughout your day, you should be pausing, breathing, and thinking. When the boss says to you in the meeting, would you be able to take on that project? You don't say, yes, I'm a bobblehead. I just immediately say yes to everything. No, conscious mind living. You pause and you think, hmm, why did I go, hmm? That was for everyone else. So they understand. I heard the question. I'm just thinking, hmm, can I take on this project? The stroking of the chin. And then as you give yourself a little time, you realize I already have a whole bunch of projects on my plate and I don't know how I'm going to finish them. And then you say something intelligent like, I'd be happy to, but what should I do with the current project that I'm working on? Should I put it aside? To which the boss says, oh, you're working on the current project? Linda, you take on the new project. How did you avoid getting stuck with another project on top of what you already had? Just a little pausing and meditating, conscious mind living, 5 to 7 seconds. 5 to 7 seconds. And you're doing it all throughout your day. I need to get my vape. Think about it. Why would you put the chemicals directly into your lungs? No, you don't need a smoke break. What you need is to live consciously. I don't want to put chemicals directly into my lungs and destroy my body. I need this body. I'm not going to do that. And you start gravitating to the break room and there's donuts and you start subconsciously reaching for the donut and you wake up and you go, well, let me just think about this for a second. Do I want this? What is the feeling I feel when I'm done with a donut? Do I feel like I need that? Do I need the fat right now? Do I need the sugar right now? Do my teeth need this right now? What are the benefits of this? And you start making smarter decisions. Sometimes you need it, but a lot of times you don't. And you start changing your life. Because why? You're pausing, you're thinking. These are micro meditations all throughout the day. When you get home and you write in your journal, that can be a reflection. That's a meditation as well. But none of it's any good if you're not asking yourself questions and thinking in a way that's analytical, that's beneficial. Always thinking what will be to my benefit down the line, years from now, days from now, months from now, weeks from now, minutes from now. What am I really trying to accomplish? It's a game changer. And that's conscious mind living. So, as an example, let's say you feel rejected. You didn't get picked for the team. Somebody did something to you to make you feel rejected. Maybe somebody broke up with you, whatever. So, what do? Your emotions say eat, isolate, doom scroll, binge Netflix, right? Your habits might say stuff it down, move on, act like it didn't happen, just go to the gym. But your conscious mind living says pause. What do I need right now? Hmm. I need to reassure myself and soothe myself after that rejection. I need to ask myself a propitious question, such as, why am I still amazing despite this rejection? I need to get into gratitude instead of personal pain over the loss. Maybe I need a little connection. Maybe I need to connect to the people I still have in my life. Maybe I need a little movement, get outside, take a walk, right? Good. Breathe, journal. Now I'm not numbing it out. I'm not stuffing it down. I'm not ignoring it. And I'm not just eating it and avoiding it, right? It's conscious mind living. Take another example. Let's say you're angry about something. Your habit tells you, I should yell right now. The emotions want to explode. But conscious mind living says, pause, breathe, blink, ask myself some questions. Hmm, what outcome do I really want here? Maybe you just walk away because it's a little too heated at the moment. Maybe you speak calmly. The difference is that you choose. I just ran into a situation like this. I was messing around with some of my friends, and then one friend, I don't know, we were beating him at the game and he got mad. And then he told me that I was being annoying. And then I was like, this guy's just mad right now. And I think I started being more annoying. and, then he, and then he snapped at me. But in this moment, now we have this confrontation. It was me and other people standing around, and him and other people standing around. He's like, "Come on, man!" He said something to me like, "This is, you're a problem," or "This always happens with you," or something like that, right? And then I'm standing there, and I'm like, "What? I don't get it. What's the big deal?" And clearly, he's emotional, right? Now, in this moment, I have a choice. I can just respond according to my emotions, which is probably to be sharp-tongued and probably given my expertise, I can chop him up and talk about how he's emotionally immature and he's not responding to the situation correctly. And really, I'm right and he's wrong. And he has to control his own emotions. But that, as I think about that consciously, how would that make him feel? So now I've embarrassed him in front of everyone. Is that really my goal? Is that my objective? This is my friend. This is my buddy. Why do I want to embarrass him? Try to be superior. That's not what I want. If anything, I just want peace. And that's what the other people around here want too. They want peace. They don't want to see me fighting. And if I attack him with my words or try to defend myself, we're in an immediate fight. So I felt it was better just to say, okay, it's my fault. And I just walked away. What was the result of that? Well, like an hour later, he comes up to me after his emotions were calmed down and he puts his hand on my shoulder. Hey, I'm sorry for the way I was talking to you. I'm sorry for what I said, blah, 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 such and such and so and so. And I'm like, I was calm too. I'm like, no, man, don't worry about it. And the whole thing got diffused. Why? Well, I used conscious mind living. I didn't go according to the emotion, right? I avoided the defending. I used an evasive technique, which is in the EAR techniques, evade, assert, repeat. It's inside the book. It's also in the psychotherapy course 201, if you're following along with that. I just said, okay, it's my fault. I just walked away. That's all. It's done. How do you argue with that? Yeah, it is your fault. You can't. And then it diffuses the situation. And after the emotions calm down, we're able to get along just fine. And it's in the past. Instead of making it a bigger deal, living consciously allows you to protect yourself, to protect others, to be a better parent, to be your own parent, to be a better leader, to lead yourself, to allow you to stop reacting and start responding after you pause and you think, to stop surviving and start leading yourself like a guide through the wilderness. So from now on, this week, starting this week, and for the rest of your life, before any action, pause and ask yourself, is this in my best interests? What's actually best right now? Start small, 3 times a day, meditating, micro meditating, could change your life. You don't need perfect habits. You don't need motivation. You need presence of mind. You need to be conscious, to be awake. So, as the moment you realize, you have a realization that you can be awake, that you can observe the situation, immediately go into a meditation. Breathe, pause, and make a conscious choice. Because true freedom is not just doing whatever you feel like. True freedom is being able to choose what's best for you and to act on it.